people who spend years of their lives thinking deeply about a topic and making it, hopefully, if they're good at academics, making it accessible to a larger population and explaining why it matters. Like that is sexy. But
Mhm.
sadly, higher education, I don't, it's hard to put a marker of exactly, but I'm going to blame everything on Reagan and Thatcher.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah. Let's go.
Welcome to Horror Movie Survival Guide, Disco Citizens, the podcast where gorehounds
And best friends, Terry Gamble,
and Julia Marchesi break down a different horror movie each week
exploring a multitude of genres, subgenres,
and subgenres,
classic and cult,
international,
and underground flicks alike, determining which films are the goriest
and offering up horror movie survival guide tips to
help you
stay
alive.
Welcome to Horror Movie Survival Guide, Disco Citizens.
Oh my goodness, we are so excited. We have a fresh interview for you today with Dr. Heather O. Petrocelli, a film critic, writer, and researcher who works with transdisciplinary methods across film studies, queer theory, and public history. This academic foundation, combined with the lifelong horror obsession and the experience of studying, programming, making, and marketing film, informs their debut book, Queer for Fear, a horror film and queer spectac as a horror film and this Queer Spectator. I got to get that right. Informs their debut book. This book is incredible, which they sent to me. Is Queer for Fear, horror film and the Queer Spectator from 2023.
Petrocelli's text
Mhm.
sets out to craft the first cohesive portrait of horror-loving queers, surveying over 4,000 queer horror fans and conducting in-depth oral history interviews with 15 quote-unquote narrators. A post-binary dyke scholar, Heather is especially passionate about engaging with and making visible queer stories and experiences.
And I can attest, this is, I'm so excited. We're also going to be talking about the insane 1989 film Chopper Chicks in Zombietown. Heather, I am so delighted to welcome you finally to Horror Movie Survival Guide. Yay!
Yay! I'm so happy to be here, honestly. So let's do this.
Yes, well,
You,
go
mhm.
for it, Terry.
I was just
Yes.
gonna say you're just incredible, and I got to meet you on panel at, I think, was it Midsummer Scream or was it Comic Con first? I can't even remember because it's like all these panels, all these cons together. But I just remember being just fascinated and delighted by you, and also just like, oh my god, I'm meeting a freaking scholar of horror and queer horror history in particular. You speak to my whole heart, and I've been like a fan of your Instagram for years, and I was like, oh my god, this is the human that puts this all together. I am so delighted. So I want
Yes.
to know your origins.
My
Heather,
my
tell us
my origins.
when
My
did you
horror.
fall in love with horror? Yes. What's the genesis for all of this madness?
Since you've been doing this stuff for years, I'm gonna sound like so many other guests, but maybe like an amalgamation of them, where it's like I don't have a memory of not being a macabre child into the dark things, right? I just always had
Yes.
that affinity, that attraction for everything on the darker side of life, I guess. I don't know. I was looking, just as I'm saying this, I've said this like so many times, and now I'm like, oh, it's probably because I was really poor and my childhood was traumatic. Somehow I'm
Yeah?
just making that connection now. Uh, and it was a push pull. I was always attracted to the dark stuff, and I was always like that kid going around the corner looking at all the horror covers that were always in the back by the adult videos, the green sticker on it, and they were so attractive and repulsive, and I could not get enough of that tension. And so it's been with me. Like I have zero memory of it not being with me. Like, I have, my mom didn't send me very many cards when I was a kid, and I have a card where I don't know how that bitch went to Disneyland without her children, but she did. And
Ooh.
she sent a postcard where it's just like it was Maleficent, because she knew that I was always into like the villains, because I couldn't give a shit about the main
The
protagonist.
princesses.
Yes,
Mhm.
I did not care about the princesses. I cared about the Prince
Mhm.
of Darkness. So
as you
Yes.
as you should. Are there any
exactly.
VHS covers that like stick in your brain?
Oh, when I was, so this is like actually probably a little bit later, but I remember being obsessed with the house cover with
Yeah, with
Oh
the
yeah.
hand.
the like the little skeleton hand on the pushing the doorbell. And
Mhm.
that's not even like a that's not even like it's not even so great, but I loved looking at that cover. I loved looking at when I was younger, I had my paternal grandmother was a very un-grandma kind of person. She was just kind of this cool force of nature, and she didn't quite understand, I guess, boundaries in a way where she lived like my family, like generations of like New Yorkers, and she lived in Brooklyn, and there was like a like kind of under more of an underground mom and pop like video store down on Avenue J, and we would go in there and she would be like, just choose what you want. And I remember like multiple times staring at the I Spit on Your Grave cover
Ooh, nope.
and
Yes.
and being like,
Yes.
Can I try this? Can I get away with it? Because I was a kid, can I get away with this shit? And then I was like, hey, grandma, can I get this one? And she's like, oh, that looks like a strong woman. Yes.
Oh, oh no.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't get to
Grandma
finish the
said that
movie
looks
though.
like a strong woman. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Heather, that
Oh,
is like the one of the only horror movies I've ever turned off in my life, and I was just like, "Nope, don't wanna see that anymore. That was
Yeah.
terrible. Why would I even
Yeah.
start?"
Well,
Because
I
I
will
wanted
say,
to
yeah.
prove I was hardcore enough, but then I was in my 20s. I can't imagine as a child. Oh my god.
Oh, Flo shut that shit down. Don't worry about
Good.
it.
Good, thanks, Flo. My
But
goodness.
yeah, she totally shut that shit down. But then she was also the kind of person that the Marble Theater in Brooklyn was our theater, and we would go to a movie twice a week. And I'm Gen X. I won't date myself exactly, but I will say that all of the like many of the great '80s films I got to see with her, and she was really cool. Weirdly, with violence, she was totally fine with violence. But like if Prince was gonna like touch some private parts during Purple Rain, my eyes got covered.
that's
So
Uh-huh,
hilarious.
which
uh-huh.
kind of makes sense for, like, the United States, right? Like, we're okay with violence, but, like, sex?
Yeah.
Oh god, no, we're still prudish.
Yeah, that always baffled me, like, I remember because Julie and I met, during a year abroad, and I remember backpacking Europe and going to France and watching, like, French TV, and on Sunday night, it's just, like, porn on regular TV, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yes,
Like, just people just naked all over, and I was like, "Oh, they don't mind love making here, like, they really don't care, and, like,
yes.
we just vilify violence in America." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I came back to America, and I was like, "Yep,
Yep,
I get it
yep.
now," but yeah,
Right? Right, yes, that's
brutal.
the
Mhm,
power of
mhm.
travel, right? When you realize, oh, all everything is constructed and, like, we totally hate sex in this country.
Yep. Yep,
Yep.
real bad. Yep.
Oh, so sorry, I don't know where that tangent went. I don't even know what I was even answering, but there
No, it
you
was
go.
perfect. We were talking about your childhood and the videos that shaped you and the movies that shaped you, but I love that seeing, those amazing iconic films in the cinema really do, it makes a difference, I think. So what was the, like, scariest movie or what was the movie that, like, intrigued you the most as a child that you went back to again and again?
The movie that I think left the biggest I have 2 movies that definitely quote unquote scarred me in the sense that we are talking decades on. I still
Mhm.
have a visceral reaction to these movies, even though I can show them to people for the first time and they just laugh the whole time. Uh, so I saw The Exorcist at a pretty young age, and that
Mhm.
shit fucked with me.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things that for years, I couldn't like if Reagan's face somehow just showed up anywhere, like on a magazine, on a TV clip, like I would have like a it would take my breath kind of moment because
Wow. Mhm.
it just fucking got under my skin. And I think it was because I saw it when I was way too young. And my mom always told me this story where it's really funny when you hear stories about your parents because 'cause you're like, "Well, I don't know who that person is." But she was having a party, which I don't know who that person is. Um, and she said that I came downstairs when I was, like, 4 or 5, and just stood in front of everybody and pissed the floor and then walked away. And so, I think when I saw that in the movie later on, I was like, "Oh, no, this explains everything. This is why I'm so fucked. I think I have a demon in me." So
Wow.
it totally got to me. I have, of obviously I got through that and it turned into more of a love of the special effects of the movie and then also the lore of the movie because there's so much, like almost any history, there's complications and difficult things to contend with, but great things. It's always a mix of things. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't always all, you know, Pollyanna niceness behind the scenes. But I got to the point where, I just I still watch that movie regularly and I love it. It doesn't get to me anymore. But I still have that one tiny little, like, the first time something's happening. Yeah, but then I showed it to my sister who's 15 years younger than I am. And she was just like, "Whatevs." I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like I'm like, "Are you not terrified?" She's like, "Nah, bitch, I'm not terrified."
No, no, not a mark, not a
No,
mark
no,
left.
not
Yeah,
a
that's one
mark.
of yeah, that's one of those ones I feel like a lot of people that thought of people's scary movie, and I was like, I saw that as way too old of an adult that I was like, okay, yeah. And so I get it. It's so hard, but it's when you see those things as a young person, like I remember seeing like Poltergeist and seeing Friday the 13th, like at like 5 years old at like my babysitter's house.
Yep,
So those are the ones
yep.
that like those images stuck in my head, and I had nightmares about those ones for a long time. So, you know, seen
So,
the things too young, you know?
when you did see it though, did you like it? Did you
Mhm.
enjoy the film?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really fun, and I thought it's like kinda how I felt like about, like, Texas Chainsaw. I was like, I finally saw it, late in life again too, like, with Julia, and I was like, "Oh, this is a campy, fun movie," and I kinda felt that about Exorcist. I was like, "It's
I
beautiful,
no.
super fun, and I think it's camp as hell, and I think it's
I
hilarious, and
I
I'm so sorry."
disagree.
Yeah, well, see, but that's, like, that's the beauty of film though, right? So, Julie, are we
Right.
Yeah.
taking it that you saw it when you were younger also? Like, I saw it when I was younger, and that movie was not fun the first time I saw
Well,
it.
I mean, Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw to me is the scariest movie I've ever seen, and the thing that's scary about it is there is no sense of humor in that movie. The movie's just like you get a little bit of like super dark in the beginning in the car, and then other than that, it's just there's nothing funny about anything. So her
And then
laughing, I was
putting
like,
on
"What the?"
different
I was like,
lady
"What are you talking
faces?
about? What are you What? Like
He's
it's
putting
just
on different lady faces, like,
the
he's literally
movie
like
I'm watching, not the movie she's watching. They are watching.
yeah, it's so funny. I was talking with Michael Verratti, like I was messaging him about it. So I was like, "Am I broke?" And he's like, "No, I get it." He's like, "Same." He's like, "I think it's camp too." I was like, "Okay, thank God. I'm not like fully out there on my own,
Well,
but like,
I
you
will
know?"
say this, I will say, I mean, I, like, literally dedicated an entire chapter to a book that I think that queer people have a camp relationship to horror, and I'm not just making this up, it's something that's, like,
Yeah.
like, empirically studied. So
Yes.
there is something to the fact that horror film and camp share a bunch of the same attributes. They're over the top, they can have flamboyant extravagance, exaggerated objection, artifice, extremity, trauma. They share all of these heightened aesthetics and themes. They're both transgressive and they both have coded queerness. Like they're both
Yes.
so I'm here for anyone who is like, I mean, now when I watch Texas Chainsaw, I do laugh, but I will always have the same way I can watch the Exorcist now and have a very different relationship. I mean, that's like it's one of the reasons I love film because we our relationships to them change. We grow. They technically are static, but they're not. It's like they kind of morph before you, even though they don't. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's who you are, has you come to it. Like, I love that champion Auntie May, one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen you write about it multiple times,
Yeah.
and it's one of my favorite movies and one of my touchstones in my life. And my one of my aunts showed it to me when I was probably like 6 or 7, and so much of that movie went over my freaking head, and I've watched that, movie, every year since then, and I every time it's different to me, and it's one of those things that I love that I'm like, "Oh, I get different parts of it." Like, I remember finally when I realized the lesbians that were standing in the back of the scene, you know, and their little
Yes.
suits, like,
Yes.
at the party, I was like, "Oh, there are lesbians at that party. Okay." And he's talking about heterosexuality, and that's a question he has, and all these different things. So I love that we can keep coming back to it. Same thing with these classic horror films that a lot of them I saw later, and I think everything's gay until you tell me it's not. And so that's been like kind of how my lens of things. So that may be what colors it. And I love having a reason now why because of your book Queer for Fear telling me about this
Well,
connection.
yeah, well, it's true. I'm like you. Like I did a project with my partner, was that 2 years ago now? It was called The Queerest Year, where all we would intake, everything in our like if someone had to be like we're going to use the term out, they had to be known queer people. So anything we read, anything we listened to, watched, it had to be made by queer makers. And at the end of that project, I remember being like, oh, well, forever I'm just always going to assume that everything is queer until someone tells me it's straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm tired of living the other way.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Hands down, and in a lot of well, just because so much art really is, I feel like so much of it has been over the years that was, like you said, that was hidden, that people weren't necessarily, loud and out, but you find out later, like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Like, this thing that I was obsessed with as a child, that was absolutely by a queer actor or a queer creator. So,
Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
mean, the history of queerness often is a history of all of these hidden stories and narratives, and so, I mean,
But
times.
also hiding in plain sight in so many ways,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
like you said, like Auntie Mame, with the Hays Code,
Mhm.
it's like, you watch it the first time and it goes over your head if you're really young, and then as you get like, the one I just rewatched it recently to when we were writing about it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is just literally how did they get this past the censors? This is just gay as fuck." Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
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 It's because the censors weren't watching it with that lens. I think that's what happens to you're like, "Oh, they don't get it. They don't see it." And when people say they don't understand, certain parts of, like, queer cinema and stuff too, I'm like, "That you don't see it because you don't see yourself, you don't get it. And it's not
Yes.
for you, it's for me. That's okay."
Yep. Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So, how did your love of cinema turn academic?
Well, I g how did my love so turn? I guess because when I was going into college out of high school, I was like, "I'm gonna become a director." But I'm old enough that when I got to film school, there were no women. There was me. And I thought, "Oh, it's like sometimes sometimes you do need that person, or you need to see that person to be like, I can be that person." And I got to film school and I was like, oh well, clearly I wasn't meant to make the stuff, but I can figure out a way to discuss the stuff that I love. So
Mhm.
I went to film school and then I got disillusioned. I'm trying to figure out ways to not say bad things about directors. Well, I just got disillusioned. It was a time when certain directors of the early 90s just kind of took over the discourse, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I can appreciate his films, but I don't want everything in my education to be centered around this person. So
Yep.
I kind of stepped away from film for a while, but I always loved film. I never as a human stepped away from film. I always, I've been a voracious film film fanatic since I was a kid, still am. So the way I wound up going back to school was I was working in magazines for a while, and my partner just knew I wasn't, like, I guess, fulfilled. That sounds so sounds so corny, but she was just like, "This is not what you're supposed to be doing. You need to go back to school." So I went
Mhm.
back to school, but I thought I would do like a different way around, again, doing film. And I studied. I was living in Portland, Oregon at the time, and I had lived there for a while. And Portland has a very interesting film scene, and it's very independent and a lot of underground and experimental and animation. And I wanted to know why this place has such a fertile ground for interesting filmmaking coming out of it. And that's what I studied. I did it through the history though. So I became a public historian to do that. And I did my
Oh, that's
master's in that.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
it was a man named Andres Dynam in the Center for Moving Image. He was a, you know, Dutch immigrant who came here, who got blacklisted from UCLA and wound up in Portland, Oregon, and changed the cinema, like, landscape in Portland. And that's what that was. And then I kind of again was like, oh shit, what do I do? And then a few years later, like, I forget how many years it was, but it was a chunk of years later. My younger brother died, and I remember when watching your younger sibling die is a I don't even know how really to explain what it feels like, but other than being totally fucking awful,
Mhm.
it hits you in like lots of different ways because you're like, this is my younger brother who I grew up with. We watched all of the fucking Freddy shit together. We fucking would dance around the house to Motley Crue. Like, we would wait up waiting for Thriller to come on. Like, we
Yeah.
shared this kind of combo, and he's been in my mind a lot lately because we were also totally obsessed with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Rest in peace, Ozzy.
yeah, rest in
Yeah.
peace,
Yeah.
Ozzy. So when he died, it kind of sent me into some kind of weird existential spiral. And it happened to be 2016. A few months
Oh.
later, Trump was elected. On top of like losing, was it who did we lose? We lost Bowie, Prince, Carrie
Yep.
Fisher, George Michael. It just felt like everything was kind of like coming to a head, and on
It's
me, my
unraveling. It felt like it
yes,
was unraveling. Yeah.
it really did. And on
Mhm.
me was like, you need to do something that makes you feel like you've left your mark on something. and like kind of like, and she knew it would be something with film and horror. She knew it would be something with
Mhm.
film. And then it was like then I came across a study by a woman named Bridget Cherry who had done a study of women in horror. And I kept talking to Ami about it. And basically, just like in this one conversation, it was just like kind of like a Homer Simpson, like, duh moment. Like, you should be doing this for queer people. Like,
Yes.
this is what you're meant to do. But then it took a while. It took a little bit of time to find a university that would accept that kind of research, because usually, everything is so siloed, and everything is like, if you didn't do the path exactly how you're supposed to do the path, sometimes it's hard to find a place that will take you. And because
Yes.
I had switched around between history and film, it's like history I was to film, film I was to history. So, but then I was watching a documentary about horror, and I saw, God, Zavi's probably so angry that I say the story all the time. But I saw this guy come on, this talking head come on, and immediately I was like, oh, that guy's gay. And then I saw his name come up, and then I saw it said the Manchester Center for Gothic Studies. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? What do you mean the Manchester Center for Gothic Studies? And immediately I wrote like a way too long email introducing myself and what I wanted to do. And I immediately got a response that was like, we think you'd be a great fit. Come. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Julia, I think we got a place we gotta go, it sounds
I
like,
mean,
because Julia
uh,
and I are always trying to find a way to go back to England, and, Manchester is great because it's close to, where your Beatles are from, and let's go.
Liverpool, yep. I love me some Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
So, where
Manchester's great. I love it.
Yeah.
how long were you there for?
Well, it was because of the way the program is. I would basically go. I went for 3 months the first time, 2 months the second time, and then the pandemic hit, and everything was remote. Um, so I didn't live there full time. I didn't need to, because my research was, you know, mean, I have a tendency of kind of being like a little bit always, which one of these is not like the other. And so even within the like Center of Gothic Studies, there was no one doing like empirical research that, is basically the humanities making out with the social sciences.
Hot.
Yeah. Very hot. I was like, "Rah, rah." Sexy librarian talk gets us every time, I'm sorry, I'm just like, "Tell us more." Me and Julia both love a stack of books and a hot story, and
Mhm.
that sounds incredible, like, these, like, mediums just going together, just we
Yeah,
love it.
it's hard. It's hard because academia, on one hand, is so it's sexy. People who spend years of their lives thinking deeply about a topic and making it, hopefully, if they're good at academics, making it accessible to a larger population and explaining why it matters. Like, that is sexy. But
Mhm.
sadly, higher education, I don't, it's hard to put a marker of exactly, but I'm going to blame everything on Reagan and Thatcher.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah, let's go.
it's just higher education isn't the same as it was, and that's a hard statement to even make, because of course, somehow when things were quote unquote better, it's just a fucking bunch of cishet white bullshit dudes getting that. So it really wasn't better, but it's unfortunate that when the playing field is a little bit, you know, more, I'm just going to say more fair, because nothing actually is actually equitable. Um,
Mhm.
that it's just a big business, and shit gets in the way all the time, and it's hard to do. Like, I had when you're doing, especially when you're doing research with human subjects, a lot of the university protocols and rules are quote unquote designed to like protect the human subjects, but they don't a lot of the times, which is whatever. I'm getting off on a side tangent. It's just
Oh,
like
no.
it is
Yeah.
sexy, and it's also like has a side where you just want to punch it in its fucking face.
'Cause you're still dealing with bureaucracy no matter what. That's what I think it comes
Yes,
down
yes,
to.
yes.
Like,
Thank you.
I just started teaching at UCLA this summer, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, so exciting." I was like, "Yep." But I had to, like, smile and walk away because 'cause I'm just
Yep.
like, the amount of things I also still have to deal with, I was like, "Oh, I forgot." Yeah, there's still all those other things that I have to, like, clearances and all kinds of other stuff that just gets in the way of doing the job I wanna do. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's like, what are you teaching?
I'm teaching on-camera TV technique to actors
Awesome.
through the film and television department, which is awesome.
Go
That is
Terry, go.
awesome. Yay.
Yay.
Yay! But I
Yeah.
also I know that you're dealing with a whole lot of bullshit, and I mean, especially if you're doing this in an adjunct way, there's automatic abuse built in. Like, academia automatically has an abusive its actual construct has abuse built
It's a
into it.
hierarchy still. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
So we can go into
Yeah.
something more positive, sorry.
Yeah, no, this is it's okay. We're dark souls. You told us you were twisted and dark from the beginning, Heather, so we understand.
Yeah.
We're always gonna go that route. But I want to know a little bit more, I guess the formulation of you're telling us, how the research was tough, but I guess maybe what are some of the highlights that have come out of, creating, the body of work you've created and this book, and then also, anything that's come out of it. I know you do Queer for Fear Live. If you want to talk about that, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how that translates as well.
Yeah, I mean, the value that came out of it, I mean, there's okay. So now I'm gonna be like, now I'll be Pollyanna. There are so many great things that came out of it in the sense that I got to do a thing that since the 90s I thought was a truth. So when I was my life was like in different chapters, and like the last chapter of my young life was in the San Diego area. I went to high school in Chula Vista, and I was going to go to college. Well, I did go to college at UCSB for until I transferred out. And I was 17. It was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And I remember hearing that uh there was like I didn't even know like there was basically a convention, a Fangoria convention happening, like a weekend of horrors in LA, and I was like, oh my god, I could do this. I could do this. I can go to this. I'm an adult, even though technically I wasn't. And it was a fucking horrible experience. It was like such a horrible, horrible experience. And it sucked because I had loved Fangoria, the magazine, since I was, a kid. And even if I
Hmm.
didn't always get to buy it because I was a like welfare kid, I always got to like look at it. And the sexiest institutions in the United States of America are libraries, public libraries. And
Yeah.
public libraries used to carry, well, certain public libraries used to carry Fangoria. And so you can go get those little hard plastic things and watch it. So the reason I'm telling you that is that it was my first real taste of horror fandom, and it was not a good one. It was I would just sum it up as misogynistic, racist, homophobic, all of the things. It was not a good
Hmm.
experience. And I thought,
Hmm.
oh, okay, that's weird. I don't belong with horror people, but I love this fucking genre. I moved to San Francisco years later, and I started working at a theater called the Bridge Theater, and the manager of that theater is Joshua Grinnell, who's Peaches Christ. And
Yes.
we became good friends and started helping with Midnight Mass. And the moment I sat in that first audience, and I think the very first one I sat in was Suspiria, the original Suspiria.
Yes. I just got goosebumps for you. That's
Yep.
incredible.
And I remember sitting it and being like, so it wasn't 100% like an exclusively like, queer also in the book, it's very much about gender and sexuality, but also queer is an expansive term that defies actual consensus or definition. And,
Hmm.
there's people who, whatever, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It can be a more of a political ideology or way of life. And
Hmm.
not everyone in that theater was queer, but it was predominantly queer. And I remember the movie starting, and I remember the reaction. I remember just the fucking energy, which is like the power of live. There's an absolute
Yeah.
power to live things. And which, yeah, of course you do. You two are both, aren't you both actors who
Yep.
do
Mhm,
live theater? Yeah.
Yep.
mhm.
So
And I
then
saw Rock Horror Picture Show when I was 12, so I was
ex
on board then,
Yep,
you know?
yep, yep, the power of live. And I remember being like, oh my god, I do belong in this fandom. I just was in the wrong party, like, I needed to be
Yeah.
over here. And this is a very long way of saying that those 2 very galvanizing experiences in my life, those are the reason I wound up doing the book, because I knew from lived experience, and anytime you heard about anything that was putting queerness or any members of the LGBTQIA community together with horror, the concentration was on gay, white, cis men. And I knew that wasn't true. I knew that they weren't the only ones who had a special relationship to horror. And so to be able to do that, to go out and do a study where I want to just make sure. So, like, before I had mentioned Bridget Cherry's study with women in horror. Her
Hmm.
N number, and the N number is just number of people who you're actually getting to respond, was I think 109 people. And I was like, okay, I have to at least double that. So in academia, you're always having to jump hoops and you're always having to prove yourself and you're always
You blew
being
that out of the water with over 4,000 though.
exactly, exactly. Which the moment those numbers were coming in, I was like, "Oh, like, I don't even have to worry about what's in the data because the response in and of itself is like it's
There's
kind of
already
the
an
proof
answer to this
like the proof
question.
the proof is in the pudding. But then when I did
Yeah.
get the data, it was like one of those things too that was like, I mean, I'm gonna be real. I cried a lot. I was overwhelmed a lot. I mean, it was like literally I started writing in February of 2020. So it was like
Yeah.
it was I actually I look at parts of the book now and I think, God, Heather, you're so stupid. Um, because I was so naive. I thought that literally we were gonna create a better world. I thought all of us going through this pandemic globally, I thought, and then like the whole um when the George Floyd thing happened and it felt like there was actually like dialogue happening in a meaningful way. I really, really like that like Queer for Fear horror film and the Queer Spectator was written from February 2020 to December 2020.
Oh,
And
that
so
was
when
the
you
window. I call it the window
yeah,
because I
so
wrote a little bit about it. I wrote like a little thing on Medium. I was like, this is a window, you guys. This is what happens because we have these windows. Like it was like they had the Summer of Love, in the 60s, and it's like we have these moments and these, flash moments, but what happens is usually a very sharp reactionary moment right after. We got Reagan, and like
yep,
the
yep.
the the, hi- the hippie yuppie complex, and I was like, we're about to have another one where they're going to try to snap back because this was too much. It was like the Obama, this was already the Obama boomerang that we were already in the middle of. We had that last little opening of like George Floyd summer, and then it was like they were about to clamp back down, which is what which is what's kind of we're in the middle of.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's hard. Like it's hard
Yeah.
doing the live show and talking to like so the live show is basically I call myself the like kind of anti-academic, but I need to figure out a better way of saying that. It's just like I have a lot of problems with academia as an institution, but I love deep thinking. I love knowledge. I love curiosity.
You're a
But I
punk
knew
academic. Yeah.
uh yeah, with a bad attitude, yes. And I knew basically I didn't wanna base like, people want you to go read from your book or do a lecture, and I was like, "I am not ever fucking doing that ever again the rest of my goddamn life." And I just it's just if I ever have to listen to another person read a paper, like, I will just pull out my own fucking fingernails at the time. Like, I just can't do it. This I don't mean it to be disrespectful, it's just I think it's the I'm gonna backtrack my diarrhea of the mouth and say, it is great for the people who appreciate that. My brain does not do well with like a wall of words coming at me without like emotional infliction when someone's just reading their paper. So I wasn't going to do that and I wasn't going to read from the books. I'm like, just go fucking read the book yourself. It'd probably be better.
You
Um,
and Patty Smith, sorry, her book tour is basically that. It's my favorite book tour, her interviews. If you wanna check it out, it's just so much. She's like, "Read the fucking book." She's like, literally, she's like, "You want me to talk about it?" She's like, "I'm here to answer other questions that are not in the book or to tell you to go read the book." That's literally why I'm doing this tour, and anyway, it's my favorite
Oh
thing.
my god,
Anyway,
I do love her,
yes,
and I will yes,
yes.
I'm just going to
Look
emulate
up
that
some of those
because
interviews.
like,
It's
yeah, people are like, "What
hilarious.
wait, do you wanna read the" I'm like, "No, go fucking read the book and then ask me if you have any questions, come to me with any commentary, call me
That's
out on
exactly what she
anything." Yeah,
did. Yeah,
totally. I'm like, that is much more
yeah,
interesting to me. So I
yeah.
thought, "Well, how do I make this interesting and how do I take the message?" Because I also the other thing you learn when you these are the things you learn when you write an academic book. You learn that people really like people love you and they appreciate you and they're going to support you and they're going to buy your book, but none of those motherfuckers are going to read your book. So I also realized, oh, like, people I love, people I've known for decades are like, "Ugh, like, I really wanna read it, but, oh god, those words." And I'm like, "But no, I wrote it really I very purposefully wrote it to be very accessible to all people because I did not write that book for academia. I wrote that book for my community. I wrote that book for horror-loving queers." So when I get people who are like, "Ugh, you use the word ontological." I'm like, "All right, fine, whatever. I do use the word ontological." I'm like, "How can I get the message out in a fun way?" And that's what I was like, "Hey," actually, you know what? Joshua might have actually been the one that's like, "We should do a show." But whatever. Joshua, Peaches, and I were like, "Let's figure out a way to take the main arguments from the book or some of the main arguments from the book and take it to universities and basically I'll be theory and Peaches will be praxis. And like, how do we show queer friendship? How do we step into our role as queer elders? Because we didn't have queer elders because either fear of retribution from coming out kept people in the closet, or and AIDS decimated an entire
Yep.
generation. So
Yep.
that's what the show is. And
That's
that is very,
incredible.
yeah, it's very gratifying and it's really fun, and it's that wouldn't exist without the book. So, but here, and I will shut up about it. The other thing is, I'm so happy that anyone in the queer umbrella can find themselves in the book because there's such consensus, and it's not just for cis white gay men, right? And
We love that.
it's our genre, and it we do come to it differently than other people. And then of course there are interesting nuances within the community that is not what I focused on, but there are interesting nuances within the community. But
That's what
I've
I'll focus on in my book. Okay, Heather, coming to you.
absolutely, please
Right? I
do
know
it.
we've chatted about this. It has to happen. I know. I've got to figure out what my full why is, but I'm working on it. Um, this
I'm here
has
to
been
help in any way I
incredible.
can. Yeah.
I'm so excited and just buoyed by this conversation, and it just gets me every time I talk to you. I feel like I'm always like, I gotta go read more, research more, watch more queer movies, and whatever like is next. Like, and I am so excited you brought to us to chat about today a delightful trauma classic, 1989's Chopper Chicks in Zombietown. Do you want to tell us why you chose this film to discuss today, and tell us a little bit about, I guess, your relationship maybe with it before we hop in?
I chose this film because I saw it first, I think late night, or maybe it was one of those ones I saw at a video store. Because video stores were really important, right? Like that is
Yes.
actually how you discovered that. I try not to use that word. That's how you found films that, the new gems to you. And
Mhm.
the moment I saw it, it was like love at first sight. I just was like, "Oh my god, this movie." I bought the VHS. I still have the VHS. It's right here on my table. Like I still
Oh,
Yes.
have that VHS from when I was in high school.
if you
And
want
And
to
that
send
feels
us a
good, doesn't
picture, we
it?
can post that as well. I
okay,
love that.
okay, totally.
I'm a
It,
VHS collector. I know you can't see it, but I have a giant wall of color coordinated VHS, and like the joy of holding the Pet Cemetery in my hand that I watched at 12 is delightful to me. Do you feel the same?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I also, it's not like I'm not going to ask your ages, but I'm just going to say I'm getting old enough now where life is getting strange, where shit from your youth is now cool with the kids.
Yes,
So
we're
I
with
ha-
you. We're on that line. We're on the line. We're 1979.
so
Julie
I'm
and I were
like,
born in the same month and the same year.
oh my god, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And our
you,
older brothers were born in the same year, and our parents were born in the same
are
year.
you
It's,
kidding me? Oh my
we're,
god, so you're just
I wish I
cosmically
was.
aligned. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
Um, so yeah, I think it's just really so fascinating to watch all these young people snapping up VHSs and cassettes, and I'm like, okay, kids, go for it. Um, but yeah, I have like you think of all the years, like I mean, honestly, I've taken that VHS without exaggeration. I probably moved that motherfucker through 40 moves,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
Yep.
packing it up, unpacking it. It's not like I watched it often because I'm afraid of snapping the tape, but I have
Yep.
watched it on VHS. But the reason I picked it was that it was one of those movies I used to try to show people all the time because I think it is incredibly underseen. And then Sean Abley and I were talking about it, and I thought, "Oh, I just have to go on the mission and make it so whatever boutique label, like, hey, Terry, Julia, and I are ready to do the commentary. I'll write essays. We'll all write essays. Please re-release
Yes.
this." Like, it's hard to find behind the scenes information about it because I think that guy was like a one and done director.
Yeah, Dan Hoskins, he wrote one other movie, which is pretty smart from 1987, which I actually just watched by chance a couple of weeks ago.
I feel like I
Uh,
watched that. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Patricia Arquette's first movie randomly.
Yeah. That's probably why I watched it, because I
Yeah,
went
Oh,
but
down a
he, yeah,
rabbit hole at one point being obsessed with her because of Desperately Seeking Susan and all that back in the day. Yeah.
oh. Wait, what's the movie called, and, like, how have I not seen it? Because also Patricia Arquette is,
Pretty
like, a lot
smart?
like
Yeah, Pretty Smart. It's from 1987. It's her and Tricia Lee Fisher. Tricia Lee Fisher is the lead, and it's about boarding school, but in Greece. So it's clear that somebody in Greece just had money, and they were like, "Let's make a movie with this money we have in Greece." So it's fun, but it's just random. I was like, "Oh, I just watched that," and that's the only movie. This is the only movie he ever directed, but he wrote that other one,
Do you
and he
know
wrote this one too.
do you know anything about this guy?
I don't know. What do you know?
I've done nothing. I want to know things. I wanna be like, "Yo, sir, how did you do this?" Like, so this film came out in '89, so it means it was shot probably in '88 because when they're doing the, like, tagging, like, it's
Yeah.
all, like, 1988, and I'm like,
Mhm.
you kinda put yourself into all the things that are happening, and this film is very ahead of its time in many ways, in my opinion, and a lot of '80s stuff, like, not even horror, like, watching 16 Candles now, you're just like, "Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me?"
Cringe.
Are you
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, no wonder we're fucked up." Um but I watched this one and I think, there's like things that didn't like, Ed Gale wound up not being a good man. Didn't he get in trouble for soliciting sex from an underage boy?
Oh, did not
Didn't
know.
like the one who's the dwarf in the film
Oh, yeah,
who
Bob Littleton. Yeah.
which also Bob Littleton. Sorry. But
Yeah.
he's Chucky and he's Howard the Duck, and I'm pretty sure he got in big trouble because I remember it from I just
That
I
era.
no, I
Mhm.
remember it because Joshua and Michael, a friend of mine was on their show and he's like, "Did you hear it yet?" And I went to go listen to it and it wasn't there. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, we had to pull it because Ed Gale got in trouble for being a pedophile."
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that. I think because it got pulled. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
But
yep.
that's extra textual. That's not the film. And I don't know what he was
Yeah.
doing then. And I'm like, I still think this film is ahead of its time. And that's why I picked it. And it genuinely makes me happy. It's a film that like always puts a smile on my face. I think it's endlessly quotable. Um, what did you is this your first is this both of your first time seeing it?
Yeah.
Yep,
And
100%.
and
I'm already obsessed, and I you had me from the opening sequence, guys. One of my favorite parts of Pride has always been the Dykes on Bikes moment of the Pride
Yeah.
parades.
They
Anytime
always open it.
they open that stuff, and every time I always like let the dykes lead the way. I always get so excited, and I don't know. Since my first Pride, I don't know how many whatever years ago, I was like, oh my god, and like to see this at the opening of the movie, I was like, that's how you start. That's how it goes. But seeing one of
100%.
the girls like laid out on her motorcycle, like riding, I was like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about. It. I was like, that was so hot, and I was like, all right, all these like baddies in leather, just them ribbing each other, having fun, doing target practice, whatever that whole opening sequence. I was like, okay, I'm already in. No matter what else happens in this movie, I will always have this first 5 minutes of this movie will live with me rent free for the rest of my life now because it is like the opening of every great pride parade. Um, is the ladies on the bikes. So,
100%. I
anyhow,
mean, those cycle sluts, they're hot. Period. Right?
Yeah.
It's just totally
and the
like
double entendre of the name, because they're all
oh.
talking about half of them being on their periods or they're all on their cycle at the same time, like, right
Yes, yes,
away. I was like,
yes,
"That's hilarious," and using, like, what looks like blood to write it on the back of their freaking jackets, like, on their not their leathers, on their denim, vest that they wear in town. Like, I love that
yes.
they have, like, a costume change for, like, I'm in town versus on the road. I Yeah, all of this. There's so many layers of goodness. Yes.
It
Yeah, and
is
I think when you see it's by Trauma, you have a certain expectation, right? You know it's going to be probably pretty schlocky, pretty fun, pretty out there. We're going to get some TNA, some production value, if you will. So that's always going to be a good time.
Lots
So
of good
right.
blood. We knew it was gonna be a
Oh
5 as
yeah.
far as
And there's
blood and
always going to be
gore.
blood. Hmm.
Yeah, and Julia knows because she's got killed, or maybe, I don't know, something, by Toxie, I don't know. Mhm.
Not killed, but I
You
was
know, in a
I'm in
fight.
Lloyd in Lloyd Kaufman's new movie Power of Positive Murder. I went out to New Jersey and got to be in a bar fight scene in which I got choked by Toxie's mop in a fight.
amazing.
So
That's
I was like, "Oh,
amazing.
pretty good, pretty
Like,
good."
I'm
So I
like,
I love me
"Oh,
some promo.
I gotta
And
go
also
like
seeing a
that."
very young Billy Bob Thornton as the, like, kind of in-town husband, I was like, "Yeah, I could see it."
You're like, "Okay, Angela, I get it." Yeah, it's like Billy Bob, are you old enough to know Martha Quinn from MTV?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Oh, you're like, "Please, I said 79, bitch."
We've had Julie Brown on our show too, like, we
Wh
love that 80s
what?
era
Oh,
MTV. Yeah, she's been a
yes.
guest on here too.
We
So
Yes.
talked about
we
Rocky
get it.
Horror Picture Show, and she was
Yeah.
like ready to go. She came ready. It was awesome.
Yes, and then Hal Sparks, I don't know if you watched, the US remake of Queer as Folk, but he's the
Yes,
yep,
of course. Well, we
little
were in
baby.
England. Julie and I lived in England when the British one came out. We lived over there when that first dropped, so
Well, we're
it's
bringing it full
just
circle because it's all
full circle here.
Manchester. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So, yeah,
So
no, yeah, it's, like, just young Martha Quinn. I was like, "Is that Martha Quinn as, like, the weird girl in the family?" Like, she was, like, the prim and proper girl in the town, just
oh,
delightful.
I fucking Martha
Yeah.
Quinn's character see, so here's the thing okay, I gotta step back and calm myself. Hold on, let me breathe.
Yes.
Okay, breathe it, because 'cause I'm like the thing with Chopper Chicks and Zombietown is that I have probably seen this film somewhere in the vicinity of maybe between 20 and somewhere between 20 and 30 times. Like, that's like I've seen it probably, like, usually about once a year, something like that. And every time you watch it, it's just something new. It's not that I'm seeing it for the first time, but it just hits differently. And it's just like the thing that is the funniest thing because of whatever's going on in my life. So,
Mhm.
fucking Martha Quinn's character, who's just, like, fucking pissed, actually, like, she's just so pissed at her brother and her father. So when her
Yes.
mom we didn't even get into like, I'm kinda jumping ahead in the sense that we haven't really talked about the fucking zombies, but I'm just gonna jump ahead and be like, when her fucking mom zombie mom shows up and she's like, "Yo, mom, I had enough of you last time around," then knocks her fucking head off with the, like, wood like, the log on fire, and then the mom's, like, flaming head rolls out the thing, like, fucking chef's kiss, and, like, "Mom, I had enough of you the last time round." Like, it's so good.
She's so over it. I love that character so much.
Yes.
Of course, like any trauma, everyone's, giving 110% because that's what they're here for. So for those who want a quick overview, the basically there's a baddie in this town. He's happens to be the funeral director who was using all the people in the town and turning them into zombies to be workers in this mine because it has some weird radioactive material that apparently is very expensive. That's the premise. But also at the same time, a biker gang shows up in town unexpectedly. One of the girls is from the town, and they also kind of wreak havoc and are there for a couple of hours to sow their oats, if you will, um, and refuel to get some food, and then before they head back on the road. So a bunch of hijinks and things ensue. So that's Chopper Chicks. Is that a good like 60-second like synopsis? I think of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, that is,
movie.
and, the baddie, Ralph, the, like, undertaker, the, mortician guy, he it's Don Calfa, so, like, I think people probably,
Incredible.
like, most know him probably from Return of the Living Dead, and then to bring
Mhm.
this shit full circle to what we talked about with Dan Hoskins, Louis Arquette, the Arquette father, Patricia and Rosanna and all of them's father is the sheriff.
Okay. I mean, there we are. Like,
Ah.
we weren't talking about it, and we were talking about it at the same
E
time, so that's awesome.
exactly. So it's like, I'm like, "Oh, I wonder if there was a connection where, did the Greek film come after this one?"
That was '87, that was first, so
Oh, it's first.
maybe he met her dad
On
on
Yeah.
set.
set.
Yeah, I was like, "We're gonna make this movie." I mean, any movie that starts with, like, "Life's a bitch and then you die," usually. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know, it's so like, this movie kind of doesn't even need the zombies, but I love that they're in there, like, we just need to blow so many explosions. It's like,
so
wow,
many
Trauma had a
Fires.
explosions.
I mean, Troma's known for being no budget, but I was like, "They had a budget for this. They're blowing some stuff up."
Yeah, that actually is, like, something I always note where I'll turn it on me and I'll be like, "God, they burnt that whole fucking thing down, and they're, like, totally exploding this over here, and they're exploding that over there," or, like okay, so wait, let's back up. See, I'm getting too excited. So, I wanna talk about Rox because
Yes, please.
Rox
The
is,
leader
like
of the gang.
she's the
Mhm.
leader of the gang, and she was a really important film figure, film character to a young gender nonconforming dyke, right? So I
Mhm.
came out. This is gonna date. This will date me, but I came out as queer when we were living in Arizona when I was 12 in the basically the late what would that have been 1983, 84, and that was a really bad time to do that. And
Yeah.
it was like one of those things where luckily we moved pretty quickly to San Diego after that, but I had years of I had those years that lots of queer kids struggle with where I didn't look right, I didn't feel right, all of my desires were wrong. Everything was wrong. Like I was just kind of wrong. And then you get rocks. So rocks is not only like I know these sentences sound so stupid, but rocks is not only a cycle slut. She's the leader of the cycle sluts.
Yep.
And this bitch shows up in town and she is unabashedly okay with her queerness. Like she has
Mhm.
multiple lines. Like when the one dickhead in the bar says something mean to the woman who is usually mute until she's not, it's like basically the lady can't talk fuck face, and for the record, I'm the dyke, blow me. Like that was
Yes.
that was like the first time I heard that was so the first time I heard dyke was in Silkwood. And then this is the
Mhm.
second time I heard it, but in Silkwood, it was actually really sad to me because it made me feel I don't know if you've seen that movie, but Cher's character is the dyke, and I thought, "Oh, I'll never be able to actually love because no one will ever love me the way I will love them." But then you see
Mm.
fucking chopper chicks from Zombietown, and
Yeah.
you're like, there's this, like, other section where the chopper chicks have a moment, and we'll get into, like, how you survive because there's a very clear message of how to survive in
Mhm.
this movie, but one of the other chopper chicks calls Rox a bull dyke, and she's basically like, "Yeah, like, you bet your ass, mama, I'm a big bad bull dyke, and my tongue has been places you don't even know you got, and it's great,
Mhm.
and I don't deal with it, I don't cope with it, I'm fucking proud of it." And young me nearly shit a brick.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty empowering. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I mean, I knew it was gonna be good because you picked it, but I didn't know how and why, and then seeing those moments, I was like, "Yep, yep." Because I feel like so many times we get, and we have over the years, especially during this era to get queer characters, and it was, like, a lot of tragedy,
Mhm.
and, they always have to die, all the Hays Code stuff and everything too, and it's just, like, to see this badass lady, like, just be the queen of her community and to
Yep.
be the one who wrangles everybody. She's the one that just keeps everybody together and you get it. It's like she's built her family by choice. And
Yep.
like they say, like as they ride along and you find out that people have joined the gang from different towns along the way. She's like, and then like you find out from one of the other ladies, TC, I think she's talking about. She's like, yeah, people join us, when they need to, basically when they need to leave the place that they're at. And
Yeah.
so it's like this is a gang of people that have chosen to be family together, that have left some nefarious situations for a lot of them, that they were scared of, and then have been empowered by Brox. She's the one who leads them out.
Yeah.
She's like the
Yeah.
Moses that leads them across, through the desert. So I
Offering
love it.
them offering them acceptance and freedom.
100%. And then to have also a film in the '80s kind of smartly handle disability in a way because so we
Oh,
got
the
the
blind
cycle.
boys? The blind
Yeah,
orphans?
yeah, the blind orphans in the bus. We haven't even talked about them.
We
There's a
did
bus
not.
full of blind orphans who become instrumental in actually like it takes community and people from different quote unquote identities coming together to work against an evil. Sounds like
And
something like
outcasts too,
yes.
Mhm.
specifically outcasts. Yeah.
And
Yes.
heroes.
Yes,
Mhm.
and, like, there's, like, a great line, I think, also that's, like, so kind of this is why I wanna find this Dan Hoskins and be like, "Did you, like, just back ass stumble into some kind of really sort of progressive brilliance, or was this really tactical?" But when the blind kid they're in the car, like, I forget which I think maybe it's, um, Dee Dee in the car? I
Yeah,
forget.
it's Dee Dee with them in the hearse, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and yeah, sorry, the hearse, what am I doing? Yes, and
Mhm.
and she says something, and he's like, "What? Should we be more obsequious, inspirational if we knew our place?" And I just love how fucking sassy and
Mhm.
the Hal Sparks character, which I weirdly I can't remember his name, can't remember his name, but Lance, his name's
Yeah, the first
Lance,
time you see
Lance.
all the blind orphans, they're just, like, leaning against the bus smoking, looking fucking cool, and I was like, "Alright, let's
Yeah,
do it."
glance.
Yes.
Yeah, they are the cool kids because everyone's like I even love that one of the girls doesn't clock him right away. She's like, "Oh, you guys just look cool. Those are cool sunglasses." And it's like,
Yeah, no, they fully have
yeah.
to have characters living with disabilities that have autonomy and agency weird sometimes in 2025 that feels, like, rare, and, I mean,
It feels
granted,
revolutionary.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it is one of those things where, Hal Sparks is not blind. I'm sure that none of them were. They were all, like, kind of creeping up, but I still think that, like, given the time that it's really, think otherness as empowerment in that movie is pretty powerful, even though empowerment
Yeah.
got it in there. So, yeah.
So how do you survive this movie?
You survive this movie by understanding that we like the way we survive this moment is by
Mhm.
learning from fucking Chopper Chicks and Zombietown. We don't have to agree on everything. We do not have to fucking fall into this trap of purity politics. A person can be flawed and can be a comrade and an ally. Like, of course, there are lines in the sand here and there, but we do not need people to be perfect for us to come together because there is these zombies coming
Mhm.
for us. And if we band together, we will defeat them. Even with all of our different challenges, we can come together and defeat them. And I think that there's something that feels so simple but revolutionary in that message that I just feel
Mhm.
like we need it so desperately in 2025 because I see people being upset because this person said this the wrong way, and you have to give people grace to learn and grow and change, and
Yep.
I get worried. I'm a worried person these days.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's like we don't want to, what is it, cut off our nose to spite our face kind of thing. It's just like throwing out the baby with the bathwater, all those phrases. But it's like, it does feel a lot of like we're just throwing out everything instead of trying to uh, build community and be in community and really learn from each other. Um,
Yeah,
we
it's
try to
like,
cut out the learning step. And it's like, you
yeah.
can't, we don't get to skip the steps. We still have to do all the steps.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
it's
like
like you
is
said,
what it
it's like
is.
TC said, it's like they pick up people along the way. This is a biker gang of chosen family. And when you think about each person in a thing, they're very different people and they have very different backgrounds, but all of them are outcasts in one way or the other. They didn't fit into their communities, but they're still different. And the whole thing is that, like, of course in the narrative they have to have tension and they have to have a fight to realize that they're stronger together. And I feel like that's where we need to come to now is realize that
Yeah,
they
even the part where, like, Rusty, like, takes out the cross, because she's like, "I know we're gonna blow up this church, but I don't wanna blow up, like, the Jesus portion of it. Because
yeah,
even though she says she's a whore, she's still religious, and I was like, "Oh." It's like, even in this group of, like, these biker chicks, they all have, like, varying different beliefs and stuff that's important to them, but the overall thing is still protecting each other and getting each other through this life,
yes,
right? So
yes.
I think it's a really beautiful, like, even on that level of seeing all these different, disparate things come together. Yeah.
All of that, plus you get knife fights and whip fights and chaps and tight blue jeans and leather jackets and big
And a dance
hair.
number on top of a
Oh
jukebox,
my god, dude,
Julia.
totally
Yeah.
fucking what Big Mama
And the
told
song, I
you.
was like, "Is this a musical now? Wait, what?"
Right? Out of nowhere, just, like, do what Big Mama told you, and you're like, "Okay." I mean, first of all, yes, I will, thank you, and
Anything she says. And I love that Catherine Carlin is still acting. She's just was on the Netflix show The Residents with Uzo Aduba. Like, this lady is still doing things. So Rox is still out there just, like, being beautiful and being amazing, but, like, what a performance in this freaking movie.
it's
Wow.
so good. Oh my god, so wait, what's the movie that she's in? What's the show that you
She's
said
on the
she's
TV show, it unfortunately just got canceled, but it's on Netflix. It's called The Residents with
okay,
Uzo Aduba. It's
yep,
a little bit, I feel like, of like the Netflix take on murders in the building kind of thing, kind of vibe. It's like a murder
totally
mystery.
totally gonna watch it, like, I like,
Yeah,
yep, I
yeah.
am totally in.
She's on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
and it's just
I
like
need the, like, her and the Gina Gershon team up where they just, like, rule the world because everyone would bow down to them. It would
Uh
be unstoppable.
just like a sneer
100%.
off. Like
Oh my god.
Who would win? Who could say?
Like,
we would. We would.
Yeah,
we
totally.
absolutely, we are winning if we get that to happen. Like that one shot where fucking Rox is walking, like, toward the camera and the, like, fucking fireworks are going off behind her. I'm just
Yeah.
like, these are just, like, these little tiny, like, chef kiss moments where you're just like the film is just filled with them. Like, I think the thing for me is that the film is just filled with these tiny little chef kiss moments. And
Yeah,
I
and it
have
really celebrates otherness and really celebrates, making everything seem really, really like real, but also larger than life, as trauma does, you know?
It's
yeah, and
grounded. It's grounded mayhem.
yeah, it's like I have a nephew who's a dwarf, and I've like had to go through a lot of education about stuff. Just when that happens in your family, you're like, you have a different like sight. So even like the moment where one of the blind kids says midget, and he's like totally stops and corrects him. Like there's multiple moments of correction in this film to
Mhm.
kind of be like, nope, nope, that's not what we do. This is how we do it, and then it just moves on. Which is like I think that we need more of that in the world of like just stopping think, oops, nope, not like this. And then the people just be like, okay, yep. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
I know that the problem with our world is that people wouldn't just be like, okay, but some people would.
Some
But
people are.
in Trauma Land, it totally these are the heroes of Trauma Land, and that's why we love Trauma, right? You have
Yes, love
these as
trauma.
heroes, you have Toxie as heroes, like these very unlikely, but actually have a real heart to them. Like this new movie that I did with Lloyd is a version his version of Crime and Punishment. You're like, wait, what? Like it's just
What?
there's
Yes.
so much going on with them. It's incredible.
He's
So do
always
you,
thinking deeply, but making
Yeah,
it
I know.
accessible. So that's the
Like,
beauty. That's like Heather here talking about her book. See?
yeah.
Thinking
well,
deeply, but making it accessible. Mhm.
that's what horror is. I mean, right? At the end of the day, when people are
Yep.
like, because especially when you do horror academia, trust me, you get a lot of purse lips, a lot of people who are like, wait, what? That seems like an oxymoron. And I'm like, no, you've just proven yourself to be a moron. Because
Yep.
basically horror is the only genre that for me it uniquely externalizes the internal experience of otherness and societal violence against non-normative bodies and identities. And like that is so like what fertile ground to just like appreciate as a fan, appreciate as a scholar, appreciate in any way you can. Like fucking horror is the best. Even when
Well,
it's
it's always
terrible, I love it.
it's always ahead. I think it's always the front line of whatever's coming next. Do you know what I mean? Though, like whatever societal fears are present, horror lets us know.
Yes, because yeah, it's our
Before
out.
any
Yeah.
other genre, we're the first genre to tackle it. So ever proud, ever grateful. Heather, this was incredible. Can you tell the people? I mean, anything else you want to talk about? Pump up, but we this is our last moment. If you want to tell the people how to find you, how to connect with your work, what can they do?
So you can find me on Instagram at Queer for Fear, and you can. My book is sadly, very unfortunately, pretty chronically
Always out
unavailable.
of
Yep,
always
yep,
sold out.
yep,
It's
yep.
sold out
It
every
is.
time. As soon as I see a drop, I'm like, share, and then
Yeah,
it's like gone like 2 minutes later.
yeah. And it's just academic publishing is. I just won't expand. It's complicated. So, but the moment is back in stock, I will do a blast and I have a discount code so you can DM me and like basically I create a list and people can tell you I follow through. If you tell me you're interested in like when like you want the book and you want the discount code, I will get it to you and then when it's available, I will be like before I tell anyone else, I will tell you, here's your moment, go get it. And really do go get it because it will be gone.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and then I'm also on Blue Sky, but I'm so terrible. I don't go on there, but I am there, and I should probably do better because they're a better company than the other shitbag company. But it's hard because it's hard.
All the companies in the apocalypse that are also terrible multinational companies. Anyway, that's a song, I just wrote it for you. Um, Incredible. So follow Heather at all the Queer for Fear spots. You also have an amazing link tree, so you can go back and see all of their, like, amazing guest spots and different things and all kinds of stuff. So get into it. For those of
Oh,
you who are not yet,
oh,
follow all the
I have
things.
another thing I
Mhm.
should plug. If you're at a university and you have budget, bring Peaches and I to your school. We've done it multiple times. It is the students fucking love it. Actually, the faculty love it. So
Of
it's a
course.
great fun show that should be. We
Have
need
you
to
done
get.
it at UCLA yet?
We have not done it at
Look at me,
UCLA.
like, using my 2 minutes there to try to make this happen. That would
Yes.
be so cool. Anyway, I will see what I can do. Anywho, I'm so excited. We're so grateful to have you here. Listeners, please, if you have any other questions for us or if there are any other amazing films you want to recommend to us, especially if they're queer and horror related, we always want to know about them.
Yes, we do.
give us those suggestions at all the time. You can find us on all the internet as well, the cursed internet as well. You can also follow our Patreon. We're doing more content on the YouTube, so check that out. Video versions of our show are coming to you. What else, Julia?
We do a show with the George A. Romero Foundation called Horror X, which celebrates women in films and horrors the last Thursday of every month. So make sure you check out the George Romero Foundation's YouTube to find the new episodes and also our collective archive of episodes. And I also do 2 other podcasts. One is
Wait, what?
Jodorowsky, Jodorowsky, all about Alejandro Jodorowsky and his wonderful
Yes.
films and comics. And the other is the Losers Club, talking all about Stephen King. So
Oh my
it's
God, and
the
they're really
Stand
good.
Summer. So
It is the
if you want
Stan
it,
Summer. Oh my God, you
yep,
going deep. You,
yep.
I saw you like I think we recorded right after or right before you were about to go do like 3 hours of stand
Yeah.
work, and that was just on
Mhm.
a part of part 2.
Yep.
So if you are into The King or want to get into it, I highly recommend checking out that show. I've learned a lot listening to some of your all's deep dives. It is, you guys go deep, and if
We
you
do.
love having a podcast on that's like they do not stop till the subject is done. So some episodes are, they go on. That's
They do.
incredible.
But and
It's
I
like a
also
companion for the day, though. If you work from home,
Yes,
it's very, very good.
yes.
I will say that.
yeah, and check out my Stephen King adaptation of I Know What You Need on Arrow's Player, or you can email me for a link.
Sweet, yay! Thank
Heather,
you
it
again
was so
so
nice
much.
to meet you. This conversation was so incredible. Thank you for being on Horror Movie Survival Guide and bringing such a rad film too.
Yeah, awesome. Here's my closing full circle. I saw Santa Sangre the same year I saw Chopper Chicks, and they both were life changing. And the other film that I didn't mention that scarred me for life was Scratch, 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 Salem's Lot, scratching at the window.
Yes, look at that! Look at that! Telling you there's a through line to all this stuff. I love it. Thank you guys
Yep.
so much. Have a
Thank
beautiful
you.
week.
Thank you for listening. Horror Movie Survival Guide is independently produced by Terry Gamble, Julia Marchesi, and Sierra Ryan. Hey, that's me. If you would like to support the show, find us on patreon.com/horror movie survival guide.